The Ukrainian army is being reformed in compliance with NATO standards until 2020. The corresponding document has been signed by President of Ukraine Petro Poroshenko. Effective management, modernization of troops, a united system of logistic and medical support are priority areas for military reforms.
This is a goal that Ukraine has set itself, and NATO is here to deliver assistance and to help Ukraine on that path of modernization, transformation and reform.
At the end of 2015, with the support of international partners, community activists and experts, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine drafted 4 critically important documents: the National Security Strategy, the Military Doctrine, the Security and Defense Sector Development Concept, and the Strategic Defense Bulletin. They determined the direction of reform of the Ukrainian army. After all, experts emphasize that only a battle-worthy army is capable of restoring the territorial integrity of the country and perform its main functional professionally. It is very important that the transition to NATO standards began in terms of legislative support, rights and relations in the army itself.
NATO allies believe that a sovereign, independent and modern democratic Ukraine is key to Euro-Atlantic security, and it is also the best response to Russia's aggression against Ukraine.
The roadmap for military reform is called the Strategic Defense Bulletin. This document defines 5 main goals for the development of the armed forces of Ukraine and specific deadlines for their implementation. The first goal is a united leadership of the defense forces, which is carried out in accordance with the principles and standards of NATO member countries. The second is an effective policy of the planning and resource management system in the defense sector, using modern Euro-Atlantic approaches. The third one covers the operational capabilities of the defense forces, which are necessary for the guaranteed repulse of armed aggression, defense of the state, maintenance of peace and international security. The fourth is the unified logistics system and a medical support system. And the fifth is the professionalization of the defense forces and the creation of the necessary military reserve.
Given the environment in which Ukraine finds itself fighting an active conflict in the east, we understand the difficulty of reforming while being engaged in conflict. Nevertheless, we believe that Ukraine doesn't have another choice.
With the outbreak of hostilities in the east of the country, the Ukrainian army has turned into a professional contract army from Soviet-style troops, which today is capable of restraining aggression and giving a worthy rebuff to the enemy. Military experts know that this is also one of the most important areas of the reform. The entire army is now contracted except for conscripts. The urgent service is our youth that is not attracted to the NATO zone. In this way, we form strategic reserves. Achieving positive changes in reform of the army was possible due to the excess efforts of Ukrainians themselves, volunteers, citizens who care, and cooperation with NATO. Experts are unanimous in this opinion. In conditions of the hybrid war, the main condition for preserving the sovereignty of Ukraine is the ability to protect the state. We have already grown to such capacities that we have formed and trained more than 15 outfits. Ensured this process, and it continues. It is expensive and not easy, but it is happening. Today it is clear that the army will be important for the country not only for a year or 10 years, but now will always be important. This means that attention to the military will be increased, and we are currently devising draft laws aimed at providing housing for people. That is, it is now becoming one of the priority professions. So military reform will be completed by 2020. Until then, the Ukrainian army must become a modern, strong, professional contract army that will meet the standards of the North Atlantic Alliance, which means that it will be able to carry out tasks of any complexity, rebuff enemy aggression, and become a reliable defender of its country.